Hi folks, welcome to my channel. I'm Sarah and in today's video I'm painting a zebra using Derwent water brushes. In last week's video I said that water brushes were one of my favourite art supplies, but I've mainly used them to paint in my sketchbook and as a quick way to swatch out and choose colours for my final artwork. But in today's painting of a zebra, I wanted to see if I could create a finished piece of artwork using just the Derwent water brushes without any regular paint brushes, as there were a few different techniques I wanted to try out and I thought it would be fun. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment and subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon as well if you'd like to be alerted as soon as I upload a new video each week. Right, so the water brushes I'm using today came in a pack of 3, and I chose to buy these mainly because I have an old Derwent water brush that works really well and I trust it, but also because I was curious about the number 3 chisel brush, and I wanted to see if this worked better for larger areas and came up with a list of pros and cons for using water brushes. So although I'm using and talking about the Derwent water brushes, this video is not sponsored and the pros and cons I mention will likely apply to any brand of water brush you might have. So some of the pros to the water brushes are that they are easy to use, easy to fill, and each brush clearly states, on the Derwent at least, the number of the brush on it. So number 1 is the fine, number 2 the medium, and 3 the chisel brush. They also each have a secure lid which also fits on the end of the brush when in use, and because it has a square rim to it, it won't roll off the table whilst you're painting. These features also make them great for travelling, so if you're drawing out in the field or you want to take them out and about with you. You'll also see on my desk a small outline drawing of a zebra, which I did as a test piece just to try out the water brushes prior to beginning on my main piece. And I included a few quick clips of this just to give you a bit of an idea of how I prepare for painting. I do this sometimes if I'm trying either a new product or a new technique, so I can make my mistakes on a small scale and not have to worry about wasting big, expensive bits of paper if things don't go quite as I wanted. So that done, it was time to begin on my larger zebra, and I started off using the number 2 or the medium water brush to paint in the black stripes of the zebra on the left hand side. So that's starting off on the area furthest away from me. So one technique I really wanted to try out in this painting was to use the fact that the water in the barrel gradually dilutes any ink or paint that you put on the brush, and this creates a really smooth gradient. I thought this would look really effective on the zebra's stripes, and this is great if that's the effect you're going for, but could also be seen as a con of the water brushes if you don't want a watered down effect and if you want to maintain bright bold colours or perhaps flat even washes. So I was pleased with how the number 2 brush was able to create neat crisp edges along the stripe and maintain an even flow of water just through gravity alone. But I had originally thought I would use the chisel brush, which is the number 3 for this part, but I ended up not using it because after trying it on my test piece, I felt that although the brush nib was broader and would cover a larger area more quickly, the downside to that, for me at least, was that it meant a greater flow of water, and I didn't feel as in control of this as I did with the number 2, so chickened out a bit. Maybe I need a bit more practice to be confident to use this one. I do use it later on though as I progress through the picture. So as I move on to painting ears, I did want to mention how easy it is to change between colours when using the water brush, because all you need to do is just on a piece of kitchen roll, just press the sides of the water chamber to push some water out through the brush, which quickly and easily cleans your brush, so no messing with jars of water or anything like that. So my kitchen roll or piece of kitchen towel also came in useful when I wanted to lift off any excess water. So for the details I moved back onto the safety of my old size 1 fine brush, and this is still my favourite as it allows you to get such really neat fine details like with the stripes on the zebra's nose. So all in all, I had a lot of fun with this piece and I'm looking forward to experimenting more with the water brushes. But there is still one con that I haven't mentioned yet, and that is the fact that being a water brush, you can't use it to lift water or colour from your paper like you could or would with a regular paintbrush. And this is why you'll see me using the paper towel quite a bit, just to pick up that excess water in some areas where I need to. So it is easy to add water just by applying a small amount of pressure to the water chamber, which is really good for diluting, for blending and mixing colour on your paper, but you can't easily remove water as the brush is constantly wet. So this could be seen as a bit of a con, and that's all kind of personal choices how much it bothers you. I quite like trying new things, but I'd love to know if you've tried these water brushes or any other water brushes and what your opinion of them is. Are you able to use them for a whole piece, or do you tend to use them in your sketchbook like I did before? And what would you recommend if you've got any tips to sort of overcoming problems with perhaps too much water or anything like that? I'd love to know, so pop those in the comments box below. So another thing that you can do with your water brushes, which I haven't done, is that you can put your ink or pigment into the actual water chamber mixed with the water itself. And I've kind of shied away from doing this purely because I'm not sure how I would clean them effectively, and it might even sort of block up the end or make it difficult to then use with another colour afterwards. So I know when I've used inks particularly, they are quite difficult to clean from pipettes and that kind of thing. So for that reason I haven't used them in the water chambers of the water brushes. I tend to just, as you can see, put the colours I want to use in a separate palette and just apply them directly onto the brush and then dilute them like that. But I know some people can use them or do use them in the actual barrel itself. So let me know as well if this is something you do and how you get around sort of any issues of cleaning and that kind of thing. I'd really like to know in the comments box. That would be great. So just coming on to the nose area, and I really enjoyed being able to add different colours and blend them directly on the paper. It kind of gave a feeling of real sort of freedom and spontaneity when I was painting, and I really liked this. So to then move on to the rest of the zebra and kind of finishing him off after I'd done all the black stripes and his nose, I just decided to give the number 3 chisel brush a bit of a go, as you'll see in a minute, because I didn't want to kind of rule it out. I was really looking forward to kind of trying something a little bit different, and that was primarily why I bought the set. So when I go on to adding some colours onto the white areas, as you'll start to see now, I did use that number 3 chisel brush. So the idea for my colour scheme on the white areas, on the white stripes, was to kind of use warmer colours on the left hand side where the light would be, and then on the right hand side, on the other side of his face, to use colder sort of tones of blue and purple. But I will list all the things that I used in the description box if you want to go and check out, including details of which colours I used. I used the Ecoline colours, and I've mentioned those before in a couple of videos, but they do really blend nicely together, and especially on the wet surface I was really pleased with how I could get some really nice blends and mixes on the paper itself. So lastly I went back in with the number 1, the fine brush, and that was just to add some hairs on the detail on the zebra's mane, and this was a really good brush for this. You could really get in some nice fine details for those individual hairs and build up some layers as well, so it was nice to get some depth just by doing several layers of little hairs like that. I also put some of the black onto the white area to try and mix those together so it didn't look too unnatural, and really had a lot of fun with this. I then did the same sort of technique in the zebra's ears just to kind of pull out some fine hairs and make it look a little bit more natural. Lastly, I then used this fine number 1 brush to do the eyelashes as well. So I think this would still be my favourite brush of the water brushes in this set because it's so versatile, but I think each of them really helped me to create a really nice piece, and I was really pleased with how it turned out. I think in the future though I will try and get to grips more with that number 3 chisel brush and have another go with that. Just finishing off the whiskers again with that number 1 brush, and then this piece was done. I did add some final splatters just because I like that sort of effect, but then it was finished. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.